Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. This is your boy, the coach from the WWE. I would like to welcome you to the very first wrestling podcast in the world to take you on a weekly deep dive into classic matches along with legends of the squared circle. Enjoy the discussion. Enjoy the back and forth. There's so much to get into. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Payoff.
Welcome to an all-new episode of The Payoff. I'm Tom. That's Jeff. We're going way back to 8 years ago. One of our more recent matches, but shit, almost a decade ago. So I guess it counts as us going back.
Why not? Yeah.
This is a really good feud, really good matches. I saw this match live. Haven't seen it since. Really looking forward to it. I think it'd be a lot of fun. Why'd you pick it?
Yeah, Money in the Bank week. Plain and simple. I've said this before last year. There is not a ton of great singles or matches outside of their Money in the Bank matches during Money in the Bank. There are some, but it's rare to find a singles match that really kind of stacks up compared to what we see in the Money in the Banks. And so I think just to kind of celebrate the week, Forbidden Door behind us, Money in the Bank in front of us, I think that this is just one where while it is, I'm with you, it's a little bit more recent than we try and cover. It's a very good story. There's just a lot happening. It's just really good. And I do remember this match being very good when we were watching it as well too. The feud and everything. It's with how involved Kevin Owens has been recently too with the Sammy stuff and the bloodline. I think it kind of shows. A lot of people shit on Kevin Owens. Well, we'll talk about it during, but I think that Kevin Owens has really done a lot. Whether he doesn't have the look or not doesn't matter. But I think that he is he's committed to what he does. And so let's get into this. I got a lot to talk about. I'm excited.
Good, man. Well, let's get right into the build.
Oh, it's time for the build.
Money in the Bank 2015. Okay, 8 years ago. I mean, doesn't this feel like it was yesterday?
It really does, even though it's not. It's crazy.
It's absolutely wild. These guys, you're going to get into it, but man, these guys, just the feud kind of came out of nowhere, and it was like, wow, this is awesome. And I feel like it came at a time where, look, John Cena had been around for a while, and I just feel like this kind of reinvigorated him and even made you go, wow, he's actually better in the ring than I thought. And the two guys that come to mind during this era were KO and AJ Styles, that both, had great matches with Cena. So June 14th, 2015, Columbus, Ohio, Nationwide Arena, 15,277 in attendance. Dark match of R-Truth defeating King Barrett. Wonder if he'll ever come back in the ring.
I don't know. I know he does the commentary. I don't know if there's a reason that he's out or he's just retired or what. But yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. So we start out with the Money in the Bank match, which I'm all for. Sheamus is going to defeat Ziggler, Kane, Kofi, Neville, Orton, and Roman Reigns. Curtain jerker losing the Money in the Bank match. Nikki Bella is going to retain her women's Divas Championship in 12 minutes against Paige. Big Show is going to defeat Ryback by DQ. 15 minutes those two went. Then we get our match that we're going to cover. Then we get the primetime players of Darren Young and Titus O'Neil defeating the New Day of Big E and Xavier Woods to win the tag team championship. And then finally, in the main event, Seth Rollins defeats Dean Ambrose in a ladder match in 35 minutes. Jeff, are we ever going to get our three-way between Rollins, Ambrose, and Reigns at some point?
I think eventually, yeah, we are definitely a few years out from it, but yeah, I think it will happen eventually. Who knows? Like, yeah, I could be totally off base too, but I think eventually that we will. This is one of those that like the come home to WWE type thing. I don't know, like Ambrose or Mox. Like he really he really set it on fire when he left a little bit, but yeah, who knows?
I think he'll be back. So, all right, how do we get to this match?
Yeah, I do want to point out, I know you talked about that main event and also like the New Day losing. That Big Show Ryback match was only 3/4 of a star. I know that you were curious. I know everybody at home is curious as well too. So I did want to make sure that everybody knew where we were at on this one. So this was, I guess, a great little build. It was, a lot happening. And so that it was, so this Money in the Bank taking place June 14th, 2015. I'm going to go back to 2014 in August, actually. It was announced at the time, Kevin Owens, that signed with them that August of the year previous, had signed to NXT. It was actually, and I feel like I've heard this and I forgot this, but trivia for everybody out there as well, too. He went with the name Owens because it's actually his son's name, Owen, who actually he named his son after Owen Hart. And so, which I know I've heard that. Once you hear it, you're like, oh yeah, no shit. Like it makes a ton of sense, but like, you forget those types of things. So great. And so, but it was actually not until November that they really started doing some promotional videos to hype up him debuting. So it took a little bit of time for that. And so it was actually, he actually beat CJ Parker, who you also might know as Juice Robinson, in his debut match. That was December 11th at TakeOver R Revolution, whatever you want to call it. And so it was actually Sami Zayn, of course, is and his former name is that night, him actually winning the NXT championship, as and this was really the catalyst moment of setting these guys up in NXT. Kevin Owens coming to the ring to congratulate Sami Zayn after winning, but then Owens power bombing Sammy and setting up not only Owens as a heel, but these guys, if you knew, it's interesting because at this point, like, these guys were popular enough on the indie circle and because of the internet, like, you would have known that these guys were connected, but right out of the gate, they set these guys up to be in each other's universes from, the moment that Owens debuted. And so, it was actually, and so like I said, this Money in the Bank was June 14th, but it was actually Owens who came out. It's a great promo. I suggest anybody go back and watch it. It was May 18th on Raw. At this time, John Cena, who was the U.S. champion, was doing a U.S. Open challenge, which we need to do more of that. Love it. I think it's great, and so doing that, but him actually coming out at that point, and so these guys actually had it was a great promo on the set. Like, they were back and forth. Like, you could tell that Cena was enjoying himself, like you said, kind of elevating. And then great, like, Owens giving the pop-up power bomb at the end of the promo, like, just really great stuff. And so, but setting up a match between these two at Elimination Chamber, which is actually May 31st, though it's almost weird because we get Money in the Bank 2 weeks later. And so, but these guys, so they had a match there, which actually Owens, crazy to think about this, like, over clean on John Cena, which is just nuts when you think about it. Back in 2015, I know you recently sent me that, and even I'm still like kind of shitting my pants over this one, of like every Roman clean loss since 2012, and what, there was 6 of them or whatever it was, and to think like that Cena went or put Owens over clean is crazy when you think about it. So, Cena on the flip on this one. And so his 2015, he had actually been feuding with wrestler we haven't seen on TV in a while, actually, Rusev. He's still signed with AEW, but just haven't seen him much. And so they actually had a match on Fastlane in February. It was actually at the time Cena failing to win the title. And so, yeah, Lana getting involved as well, too. They did have a rematch. And so it was WrestleMania, just a lot happening with him and Rusev. But then him actually giving Rusev his first pinfall loss on the main roster to win at Mania that U.S. championship. And then Cena was right in the heart of really beating everybody for the championship. And so the list here, so he beat Dean Ambrose, Stardust. I wonder what Stardust is up to nowadays. Bad News Barrett, Kane, Sami Zayn, Neville, Zack Ryder, and Cesaro. So really, like, I remember that a lot too. Like, I just remember the US Open Challenge. It was just really great and cool to see. So, and so they actually had a chain match at Extreme Rules in April. They had an Rusev. They had an I Quit match at Payback as well too. And so, like, these guys, like, just all kinds of things happening. And so this is, like I said, when they then had the elimination chamber match and then this rematch. And so because the Kevin Owens beating him there is why we get this rematch at this point. And so they're really in the heart of it at this point. Like, that first match was great, but then we get this match as well too. So a real tight build in regards to kind of what was going on. It was, I say, not short necessarily, but it was compact. And so you were able to see kind of what they were doing. And I'll talk about it during the match. I think Cena really wanted to work with Owens, which is why I think they did this kind of, I say, long program. So no reason to not just jump right into this one, man. So right, this should be kind of exciting as we're getting into it. Yeah, there you go.
Sorry about that. I was on mute. There are window washers outside my office.
That's all right.
Looks like a hell of a workout.
Why is this guy watching wrestling at 8:00 in the morning? Like, what the hell? Like,
well, it's actually 6:40 in the morning here. Yeah. So, what an ambitious guy. I know he's sitting there recording a wrestling podcast. So. Yeah,
that's fine.
Not what you'd expect if you looked in and peered on someone's screen and went, it's Money in the Bank 2015. At least you can catch me watching Doink the Clown. You'd think I had like a clown fetish or something.
It was even earlier in the morning. Yeah. That's not what you want to see first thing in the morning. Yeah.
All right. So 116 of Money in the Bank 2015, 116 Money in the Bank 2015. Jeff, are you ready?
Yeah, let's do this, man.
All right, I'm looking forward to it. It's time for the payoff.
Oh, it's time for the payoff.
John Cena being better. Don't forget, Kevin Owens has now faced John Cena before. Kevin Owens is going to come in this better than
JBL on commentary.
Plus, oozing with confidence.
Bold.
Big question, you're right. Joe Namath did it once. He didn't do it twice.
Let's go Cena. Cena sucks chance, of course.
Can he do it twice? We're going to find out.
So you look at like Owens, and I mean, he's quote unquote new to the main roster, but obviously because of all of his experience, in the indies prior, NXT, I mean, the beauty of you finding these indie guys like a Seth Rollins, like a KO. Not that I'm calling AJ Styles an indie guy, but he had done a lot before he got to the WWE. I mean, these guys are just ready on day one. I mean, they are pros, and like, you look at like KO. Yeah, I'll use this example. Like, look at the difference between KO and a Austin Theory. Not that I'm bagging on Austin Theory, but he's really, really young. And he's kind of green, and he's trying to find himself, and it's a work in progress. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying he shouldn't be on the main roster. I'm just saying you look at a guy like KO, and you're like, dude, this guy, he's 32 years old. He's got a family. He's been getting the shit kicked out of him for 15 years. He's ready to go, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is what. So I was curious. So Owens actually made his debut. It was 2003. And so he had he had been in NXT at this point for a little bit for 2014, but it was almost 11 years later where he got to WWE, and now it's 12 years later he has this match with Cena. So that was 2015. It's now been 8 years since that, and so dude's been wrestling for a long ass time, like 20 years, like, which is crazy when you think about it. And he's our age. He was born in 1984. And so like, actually his birthday was back in May, actually. So yeah, he is very much like he has been around. And so it's weird too, when we called him an indie guy, like he's also been wrestling for a long ass time, but also like he hasn't even been in WWE as long as he was doing that stuff. So crazy to think that. So I think that this is one where like Cena really like I mean, this is a second match at this point. I gotta believe like somewhere deep inside of me that Cena really saw that like what Kevin Owens, in NXT and was like, I need to work with that guy because it's got to be very rare. Like same with like Austin Theory and more recently, like, he did stuff, other stuff over the years with like bigger name wrestlers. But I think there is something and credit to Cena of like putting the younger guys over. Like, even if they have a multi-match kind of series, which they do like this, like, okay, fine. Like, Kevin Owens doesn't need to win or can even win by, dastardly heel tactics, like whatever it might be. But at the same time, like he's in the ring with John Cena. Like, there's something to be said for that you can't discredit.
Yeah. And I one thing I don't like is I don't like when people get fixated on who wins the feud. Like, yep. You don't have to have the young guy win. I mean, like, hey, it was great that Austin Theory beat Cena at WrestleMania. I think that was absolutely the right call, and I like that. But at the same time, if Theory lost and won the title back the next night on Raw, or made excuses for why he lost and came across as a chicken shit heel, and hey, I took John Cena to the limit for 25 minutes before he cheated, like you're a made man still. It's Austin losing to Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13. Did it matter that he lost?
Yep. Or no, but yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and this is one where especially like so Cena or Owens mocking him with the "you can't see me" and getting the 5-knuckle shuffle on Cena. Just great stuff. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, and something to remember, like Owens was NXT champ too. And so like you had champion versus champion at their previous match. Like, and so you had those types of things. So yeah, it really, sometimes you just need a good match. Like granted, like I think like Nakamura and AJ, like that rematch didn't really kind of live up to what we had hoped for. But at the same time, when Balor filled in against AJ, what was it with the travel issues? I think it was that one random Raw, and they had a great match. And so like this is, I feel like that type of thing. Like sometimes you don't need, we've said it before, you don't need this giant build. Like sometimes like they're having a really good match at this point. Like seeing that they're both kind of working each other over. You got Owens stealing some of his moves. You had Cena going for the AA. Like, so there's just a lot happening.
Yeah, I remember him busting out some definitely some new moves in this match. I feel like this series of matches was where like, Cena was making fun of people for calling him like 5-move John or whatever the expression is.
Yeah, this is a lot of when that was happening. What are your thoughts on a lot of the arguments we hear it all the time, the look of Kevin Owens? He doesn't have the wrestler's look. Do you give a shit?
Dude, I think you need different looks.
Yep.
And, Kevin Owens is able to do a ton athletically.
Yep.
He's got great cardio. I think of him like I think of an NFL lineman. You watch an NFL lineman, you're like, oh, look at that fat fuck. And it's like, oh, wait, but he runs a faster 40 than me. And he's insanely athletic. He just doesn't have a 6-pack. Like, that's how I feel with Kevin Owens. So, like, he can do a ton physically. He's got great cardio. So why would it bother me? And I think the aesthetic of cutoff, gym shorts, it's different. I mean, look at these two guys. They both have such unique looks. The jean shorts, the tennis shoes, the armbands. I mean, you need guys that aren't wearing, black greasy hair with black long tights.
Yep.
I mean, look, Seth Rollins is hotter now than ever. Why? Because he's wearing these weird suits and he's
the drip game. Yeah. Oh my God.
It's a different look. And you need guys to have a different look, and you need to have these characters. So I love it, man. I don't know how you would. I mean, what do you knock about it? Oh, he's fat. Well, he's got a little bit of a gut, but he's in great wrestling shape.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And that's, I always start like, and also you and I know, and we've seen the memes. It's like, oh, he can't fucking wrestle. Like, who the hell does he think he is? And it's like the meme of the guy like on his couch, like surrounded in the dark with like Cheetos and hamburger wrappers. Like, oh, like he's not a wrestler. He doesn't look like a wrestler. Like, come on. Like dude is doing 20-minute matches with John Cena. Like, you go 5 minutes and we'd be dead tired. Like, there's no way. And also I think it speaks to as well too. Like he looks like more like a wrestling fan than most wrestlers do. So he's more relatable. I like the guy. My mom likes Kevin Owens. Like even randomly, like I was visiting my parents and like, of course, like I'm at home. Like, what am I doing? I'm hanging out with my parents. I want to watch wrestling, and so I put like wrestling on, of course. And like she's like, so she's watched a bunch of matches with him and likes him, and so, which I get it. Like he is good, and like he does, like he's relatable, and so I think that's great. And so, oh boy, that looked painful as hell. Like he's 360s off the top rope right now, but but also like. We go back and look at like the last few Manias and his involvement and what he's done. He has been either near like second on the card or involved in the main event in some way for the last few Manias. And so dude is like really hot right now. Like, yes, of course, Roman is as well too, but like we all still remember him. Like, he even was he the one that was like, I want to jump off the pirate ship. Like if they were actually doing the Tampa Bay WrestleMania in the arena or in the stadium, he was like, and granted he got to jump off the sign, but he was like, I want to jump off the boat. Like I will sacrifice my body in that way to jump off the boat, which is just fucking crazy, but good for him. Like, yeah.
You brought up, Great match, by the way. This is fantastic.
It really is, yeah.
You brought up Kevin Owens at WrestleMania. So 2016, he's in that IC ladder match that Zack Ryder won, which is a great way to open the show.
Really, but good match. That was a great match, yeah.
33, he works Jericho for the U.S. title and wins.
Yep.
34 was him and Sammy against Daniel Bryan and Shane when Daniel Bryan came back, which was a really good hot match. Yep. Rollins at WrestleMania 36, Zayn at WrestleMania 37, Austin at 38, and then the Usos this past year, which was the first time in his
match main event
that he got a 5-star match from Meltzer.
Yeah.
So pretty wild, man. And go ahead.
I was going to say, 2-3 years ago, there was talk he was leaving.
There was talk he was unhappy. And then even when he signed his deal, the wise people on Twitter thought it was a horrible decision. And I remember at the time you and I talked about it. And I said, he's making a ton of money. He enjoys his work environment.
Yep.
They book him pretty well. Like, what more do you want? Yep. And then look what's happened since. So, it's the same with Sami Zayn. Well, how could he stay? Like, dude, you can't be in the main event for your entire career. Like the actual main event, right? Like you're going to be in a tag team at some point. You're going to move around. Like, look at Randy Orton. He's been a top star for 2 decades, but hey, tag team with Riddle. Great. That's something different. You got to mix it up a little bit. So, these guys when it's all said and done, Zayn and KO, they're going to have a great 10-year run each, 10 or more years in the Federation, holding titles, making a shit ton of money, headlining WrestleManias. What more do you want?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I feel like he's very quietly and I remember when he had that match with that Jericho stuff was incredible. That's another thing. Like Jericho helped put him over. One of the most Cena with a Hurricane Rana there. Okay. And then a giant super kick. Oh man. Yeah, but one of my favorite wrestling moments in the last, decade or where it was with Jericho holding the clipboard and like, why is my name on this list?
Oh, so good.
That turn was so good.
And
like,
you knew
oh
it was coming, but it didn't matter.
And they teased it for a long time, and then it finally happened. It was just incredible. Yeah.
Well, remember, that should have been the world title match, but your boy Goldberg got the world title going into WrestleMania instead.
Motherfucker. Yep, I know.
Yeah.
And so
ended up fighting for the U.S. title instead.
It's only a matter of time before he shows up in AEW and runs buckshot over people that don't deserve it. So, yep, screw that guy. Yep. So you got Cena getting very frustrated. He was in the ref's face a little bit ago. Like now he can't get the fall here. And so he's looking very upset. And so because Owens is just can we get a crowd check on this one? I know they were chanting a second ago here. I got a feeling they're just
within a 2-week span. Everything that John Cena has, Kevin Owens has an answer for, and vice versa.
Crowd into it. Yep, absolutely. And Owens at this point is taking a beating from Cena, but he is still hanging in there, which is great. Oh, so, Cena. Yep.
So, Kevin Owens naming his kid Owen, right?
Yep.
So this is why I get annoyed when wrestlers like make fun of wrestling fans for being marks. You guys are fucking marks too.
Yeah.
You named your kid after Owen Hart. Like you didn't know the guy. You just thought he was like a cool wrestler from Canada. Like, and you named it after him. There's nothing wrong with that, but like just understand, like, and again, I know it's annoying when people are asking you for autographs and this and that, and they're marking out with you and they want a picture with you, and I get it. And and there's a time and a place for it. But it's like when people are enthusiastic about the business, like you're a fucking mark too. Like you would have gone nuts if you got a chance to meet Owen Hart. And your favorite hockey player, like, yeah, you ask him for his picture too if you're backstage. So it's like we're all marks for something, right? Oh man, missed the
that's crazy.
Out of the way, countered by Cena. John Owens, attitude adjustment, cover by Cena, hook in the leg.
Nope.
No, come on, to the half.
Wow. Yep. Attitude adjustment, can't even get it. Yep.
So it's funny. I was reading that the New Day, we're on this card. Obviously, they're coming up on 9 years. Like next month will be 9 years since they formed.
That's nuts.
Never added anyone else to the mix, right? Like that, they just the three of them. Like you can't compare it to anything. The NWO didn't last 10 years. DX didn't last 10 years. And then there were people coming in and out. Like it's hard to really like compare that stretch to anything. So I think that's kind of interesting.
No, I absolutely agree with you. I think that like we've started, and every once in a while we see it on this show and the payoff. And I need to start looking at it a little bit more as we kind of do some of these. But all of a sudden you see like AJ Styles has been in WWE longer than he was in TNA. Like you get some of these wrestlers that we forget how long they've been in WWE. And so, or like even with their NXT time or something like Shinsuke Nakamura, like, his New Japan time versus like NXT and WWE time, like it's been a long time at this point. Like, and so a lot of them, like, we think of their careers as being a part like TNA or being like, Ring of Honor or what WCW or whatever it might be. Like some of these guys, like the bulk of their career has been like in WWE. Like Goldberg's one, which don't like the guy, but same thing, like his WWE career has been a lot longer than his WCW career. And so I think that that's something that we forget of, like, and I think more so with like some of these more recent ones, like, the New Day, like that's a crazy stat. Like, and when you start thinking about like, even at the time, like, what was it, like last year or whatever, it was like greatest tag team ever. It's like, okay, like, yeah, I could see that. Same with the Usos, like them 1 and 2, but like the Usos have been around just as long too. And so I think that it says something like, that longevity, you just didn't see it unless you were like The Rock or Austin or something like that. But also like the prime of their careers was not as long as some of these guys are. So yeah, it's very interesting. Someone like, and then to get yourself back over, I think someone like Sheamus, like I enjoy watching Sheamus go out there like that. What was that Mania match was top 3 match of the weekend. And so, and we've got like Gunther, who's going to be a future star, or like he's already a star, but more, even more in the future here. And those guys went and had just an absolute incredible match. And so, yeah, I think that there's just a lot of good to look forward to.
Yeah, this is fantastic. It's interesting is remember how like we used to love those pay-per-view sets, and it was, of course, okay. So I feel like the modern day version of that we're now getting is like just really cool, unique venues like Puerto Rico and Montreal and stadium shows. And I feel like we're like I love seeing all these new and interesting venues. Like I'm really digging this, and it's like SummerSlam in Detroit's going to be really, really fun, and the WrestleManias are obviously always great, and the Royal Rumbles in the baseball stadiums, and I love it, man. So if you can make every if you can, maybe not everyone, but it's like if 8 of the 12 like have a really unique buzz to them. I mean, I know that, the Saudi shows obviously rub some people the wrong way, but like they are unique. It's a unique visual presentation if you're watching at home, and they really do try to load up those cards. London, crazy, right? Like stadiums, crazy. So like I love what they're doing, and I hope they can continue to find new and interesting venues. It's like AEW at Arthur Ashe. Like it just feels different, man. It's like it's really fun watching those shows.
So this was the first Mania. We've always seen it where I avoided some of the headlines that were like first look at stage, or first look at what the arena looks like, and I wish they would do this more often. Oh, there's a 1, 2, 3 from Cena.
Wow.
Got it. Yep, with the AA. There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can say what you want about John Cena. You can love the man, you can hate the man. But there is no doubt that John Cena brings out the best in everyone he battles in the ring. And tonight was no exception. John Cena proves why he's one of
upset
the
KO
best
fan
ever.
there. Yep.
Big match, John. I don't think there's ever been
to put a bow on it. Yeah,
that right there.
We know the video production of WWE. That reveal video that they do of WrestleMania is one of the videos that I look forward to every year, of where they show it, they blow the fireworks off, they got the lights going off. It's just great. And so I think, to your point, we need more of that.
Oh, I know. I totally agree. All right, great match. Let's get into the aftermath.
Ho! It's time for the aftermath.
All right, what'd you think?
Took him to the limit, man. Like, it passed it. That was very, very good wrestling. That was just fantastic. Like, some near falls there, but that was, however long that was, that flew by. That was 20 minutes, which seems shocking to me, but 20 minutes of fantastic in-ring. Like, they didn't go outside of the ring once. Like, that was all in the ring. That was great. How about you?
Oh, I loved it, man. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Well, what more can you ask for? That was great. Just great.
Yeah. So they're still in the ring.
And again, I just think that the significance of this was, wow, Cena's actually really good in the ring, and oh wow, he's making guys. And I mean, this was an important part of his career, I think. I mean, really, like, it won me over. Honestly, I'm like, all right, yeah, hey, the guy's not on my Mount Rushmore. He's not my favorite guy, but okay, I respect the hell out of him. I think he earned a lot of respect from some of the more fickle wrestling fans.
Mm-hmm. So you got him shaking hands at this point in the ring. Cena actually handing the title belt, the NXT title, to Owens. Just great, though. And so trying to show some respect, shake his hands, and then Owens attacking him. Like, just great heel move.
Yeah, you had to do that, huh?
Just great. Got to be the heel still. Just fantastic.
Had to do that. Had to keep him a strong heel. It was fantastic. All right.
Yeah. Again, this was not the kind of finish of these guys. It was actually Battleground in July, a month later, with Cena winning by submission on that one. That one kind of finally ending the feud between these guys, at least for now. You actually had then Owens entering a feud with Cesaro, beat him in a couple matches at SummerSlam as well as on Raw. You had Night of Champions, Owen beating Ryback. It was actually his first title win for the Intercontinental Championship at that point. You had him beating Chris Jericho. That was the live from Madison Square Garden kind of.
Oh, by the way,
special.
In the audience right there is Conrad. I don't know if you noticed.
Oh, I did not. No, that's funny. And
He's such a big man, you just notice him right away.
No. Yep.
Yeah,
that's funny. That's funny. Cena on this one, it was him and Dolph Ziggler beating Kane and King Barrett. Of course, we had this battleground match, like I talked about, with ending the feud. Cena then reigniting a feud with Seth Rollins. It was Rollins denying or refusing to some of his challenges for the title. You had the Authority forcing Cena to defend the title against Rollins. You had him get that broken nose in that match, as we all know that picture of the crooked nose. We all remember that. And then they had the winner takes all match at SummerSlam for both the World Heavyweight Championship and the U.S. title, which Cena lost. It was actually Jon Stewart getting involved in that one, which you remember. Yeah, not great. And so we all remember that. But then him and Rollins really feuding at Night of Champions. You had that live from Madison Square Garden show in the steel cage match. And then it was actually Hell in a Cell, Cena losing the title again to Alberto Del Rio in an open challenge. And so, yeah, it was actually, and then him leaving for a little bit, but coming back and beating Del Rio by DQ. And so, so just, good stuff, back and forth, whatever it might have been, just enjoyable. So, and so then Cena number 2 PWI in 2015 kind of makes sense to me. Owens number 10, so very high as well too. And so him kind of carrying over from NXT into the main roster. So very good stuff. So and Cena selling the hell out of the attack on the outside at this point, really getting Owens over. So really good stuff. So yeah. All right. The observer on this one, Kevin Owens versus John Cena. Crowd was going nuts from the get-go. Loud dueling chants for Cena, plus plenty of chants for Owens and NXT. Very basic match for a long time. Then Owens laid Cena out with the Cena's own comeback, including the five knuckle shuffle. A great match that wasn't nearly as great as last month's. That was just mostly, this was mostly just big move, kick out, and lay there for a while. I disagree with that. Cena led the crowd in cheering for Owens afterwards and present Owens the NXT belt, then offered a handshake. Owens accepted, but then thank God he kicked Cena in the gut, then went outside and powerbombed him on the apron. Now the place was going more nuts than ever. Owens left with both belts, then threw the US belt down and cackled at Cena from the top of the aisle. Post-match was at least as good as the match itself. 4 stars out of 5 from Dave Meltzer. So what are you thinking on this one, Tom?
I think I'm factoring in this match, the overall feud, the significance of it. I'm mixing some stuff together, but I got this thing at an 8 because I just think that the match, the chemistry, what it meant for both guys, I think this is pretty significant. So I got this thing at an 8.
I'm gonna go right there with you. I think that this is one that really they had a lot of chemistry in the ring. They obviously had multiple matches. They cutting promos. Owens has always been good on the mic. Same with Cena. They had so much going for them, and I think really for Cena to say, "Yep, we're going to do this right out of the gate. You and I are going to work together." I think it just speaks to what Cena wanted to do, but then also the work that Owens put in as well too. You got to figure it's a big, at the time you figure getting called into Vince's office and be like, you're about to work a 3-month program with John Cena as the NXT champion, as your call up is happening to the main roster. You ready? Yeah, you better be ready. You better bring it. And so, yeah, I think that they're right out of the gate. We were just written really good stuff, which I enjoyed. So yeah.
Nothing but good things to say about this one, man. I enjoyed it.
Yep, absolutely. Don't want to remind everybody, of course, nothing but good things to say about Manscaped as well, too. Don't forget using our promo code there, Payoff, getting 20% off and free shipping, whatever you're throwing in the cart. make sure you're using that promo code payoff. You're getting better if you're just kind of saying, make sure you're signing in, using that code helps us out as well too. And then of course, payoff 25% off at True Classic Tees, using them as well too, to make sure that, whatever you're looking for, it's the summer months at this point, staying cool, staying dry, whatever you're looking for, more than just t-shirts as well too. They got a little bit of everything. So make sure you're checking out trueclassic.com, True Classic Tees, getting 25% off with our promo code payoff25. So let's send them home happy. This was good.
Cool, man. This was a good one. Next week's going to be what
nutty,
we call the infamous nutty ones that we cover.
Yes.
Love watching these great classic matches and feuds. We also love watching car wrecks and chaos. So next week will be fun. As always, we appreciate you listening. We'll see you next week on an all-new episode of The Payoff.